Hello, this is Dan McDonald. I'm the Life Regenerator here on YouTube. I am with Karen Ramsey. And what's your name again?
Gabriella.
Gabriella. What's your last name?
Ramsey. Also.
Okay, so you're not married yet. And Karen is a raw food child expert. How to raise healthy raw children, right?
And families.
That's what my passion is. Been that way for a long time. Since in 1994, I was able to heal my son from asthma through raw living plant foods. Severe asthma, chronic ear infections, and multiple food allergies, which were really severe.
I want to imagine that their dairy products was part of the problem.
No, actually,
No?
in our situation, we had already given up dairy.
What was it? Was it more the grains then?
It was a lot of the grains, just eating mostly cooked food and processed food that wasn't nutrient dense. A lot of, pasta and bread and things. Like, we had a pretty much of a high cooked vegan diet, and I had given up dairy in between my first and second pregnancies, so it wasn't the dairy that was causing the asthma. But as soon as we went to green juices and smoothies and fruits and vegetables, it was just a very short period of time before he healed, and that was just so dramatic. It spoke to me, and after that I was just so much into researching about it that that for the next 7 years after that, I started writing a book, Creating Healthy Children, about his healing. And then I started seeing all this tremendous healing in other children who
That
were
you were
following
working
that
with.
path,
Yeah.
the kids I was working with.
So the cooked vegan diet wasn't working.
Wasn't
The
working.
raw vegan diet, your son began to heal. Was that your first child?
My second. This is
I'm
my
the
first.
first.
Oh, okay. So you're the oldest. So you've been vegan your whole life.
I was raised vegan, but there
Okay.
was a period during
Osha, come here.
say hi to the camera, Osha. There was a period when I was a teenager where I went off and I started eating dairy, but I've never eaten meat my whole life. Even during that period of rebellion and wanting to go and experience what everyone else was eating, I never chose to eat meat. I was never attracted to it.
So there was a rebellious phase, and then you're like, forget about what my mom is doing.
Oh
and
yeah, I
you
was like,
just-
screw that.
Okay. But you never did eat meat, so
I never eat meat, no.
and now your health is good, and you've never had a piece of animal flesh. So you can grow up healthy and happy. Yeah, without animal flesh.
Yeah, I'm a living example. of
Yeah,
that.
you're still here. So there
Still here.
there it is.
Still functioning.
You won't die without animal flesh. Okay, and I'm
Never
the other-
ever from day one, and she's 25 now, so.
Never a single piece.
So it'll probably be tomorrow where you fall over from not eating
I'm
animal
feeling
flesh.
like I'm about to keel over.
Yeah, those are the myths in this world, that you have to eat the flesh of dead animals to survive. How people can believe that, I still don't understand it. But that's okay. I'll let everybody have their thing. I don't like that. I see so many health problems coming from the decomposition of animal bodies inside the human organism.
Definitely. And I have to say that after my son healed from asthma, we continued with the raw food lifestyle, and they were close to 100% raw for about 9 years before they started to they felt the need to fit in with their peer group when they
Right.
became teenagers. And when
is-
they did, they got sick.
Reasonable, yeah.
They got
Yeah?
sick right away because their bodies were vibrant, and they knew their body is such an intelligent being that it knows when something is coming into it that's toxic. And they reacted right away, and then through those years, neither one of them, they went back and forth not feeling well or had signs of not good health. And it wasn't until much later that in college, Gabriella called me and told me what happened at that point.
Well, yeah, I guess I feel that growing up in the way that I did, that I'm more sensitive to those foods, you know, like if I would eat dairy or something that was processed, that I do feel it like almost immediately, and that I was kind of resentful for a long time about that I couldn't just go on eating that food and just keep eating it like my friends were and not really see any, or not get sick right away. And now I'm actually really grateful that that my body is so in tune and so sensitive that it like won't let me get away with it. You know, I can't just like keep eating that way. My body's like, like I'm gonna shut down right now, right here. And so yeah, I went off and I was like eating pizza and ice cream with my friends, and I really just wanted to fit in and just do what they were doing and not really care and just like not listen to anything that my mom was saying. I was like, just leave me alone. And then when I was in college, when I went to college, that's when I was really exposed to the mainstream and what people were eating and drinking, you know, doing drugs, ordering greasy Chinese food at 3 o'clock in the morning, and I participated in that for some time, and it's just like I said, it's just not sustainable for my body. I just could not keep up.
You felt bad.
I would feel bad, yeah, and I remember calling my mom up and being like, God, Mom, like how come my friends are able to just keep doing this like day in and day out, and I get sick right away? And she was just like, oh, I'm so glad that you get sick, you know, it just shows me your body's still working, you know? It's like you gotta really think when people are doing this to themselves and treating their bodies like this and they have no reaction. Like, where is that being stored? What's going on deep down that they literally have no initial reaction anymore?
I was glad when they, you know, when their skin broke out, or when they showed some sign that at least their body was reacting.
Yeah.
And every time I got sick, I would always know what to do. Like instinctually, I would either stop eating, or I would just drink orange juice, or just go back to fruit. Like I knew, like that was like, okay, I know instinctually how to like reboot myself and bring myself back, is to go back to that. And so that's when I became vegan again, because I saw my friends going down this path that really didn't look good. Like they gained a lot of weight, it just was not appealing to me. So I became vegan again at that point and just became more and more raw. And just feel better and better.
Are you mostly raw now?
Mm-hmm.
Same with you?
I've been 100% raw since 1994.
Wow.
19 years.
Good work. That's very cool.
You know, when you see your child heal so quickly and become this beautiful picture of health after 3 years of sickness, there's nothing more wonderful than seeing your child be healthy and to have health yourself. Because I used to have chronic fatigue. By 5 o'clock p.m. I was exhausted, and now I just have so much energy. And I want to have this energy as I continue to grow older.
Yeah.
I want to be able to share this energy and to be able to feel great, and just to be able to give this message about that we don't have to have sick children, we don't have to have sick families. We can all be healthy and vibrant and have energy and be happy and just really live life to the fullest. That's really what I want. I think that's what we all want.
The raw living foods is the law of nature, in my opinion. And I've seen it all around, so I know how I feel on the raw foods for sure. And it's the law of vital adaptation, that when your first cigarette really sucks, your body reacts violently, but then if you can force yourself, then your body actually begins to call out for what was at one time an impossible toxin to absorb. Your body would respond violently, and now you can eat cheeseburgers and french fries and smoke cigarettes and drink alcohol, and your body doesn't respond. And what that is like your organism is falling asleep to itself, and it's losing its sensitivity, like all your friends and stuff. God knows what would happen if I ate anything that was devitalized.
Well, me too. Me too. I mean, I wouldn't want to be putting anything into my system. I'd get sick right away. Even I work with autistic children, and at the school where I work, they sometimes spray heavy chemicals. I'm the only one who reacts. I'm the only one who eats this way, and I feel that because of this, I have my whole system is much more clear. And so when toxins come in, I respond to them pretty much immediately, and my eyes start tearing, and I'll start getting mucus and coughing, right? And so that's a sign of that, you know, I'm glad that I react right away.
Because then it's like, get out of this environment. Go somewhere where the air is fresh, eat
Yes.
clean, be healthy. It's like a nice guidance system
For
inside.
sure. It can be scary how disconnected people are to what's real and what's natural these days.
Raw food. You are 100% raw since 1994.
Yes.
You've been super high raw, and you're a vegan. You're 100% now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, and you're healthy and happy vegan person. And so let me ask the,
Example.
well,
Yeah.
I was wondering about the, I won't get too personal, I'll let you go with that, but like the feminine aspect of the vegan way. Did you develop a little bit more slowly with the attributes of a woman?
Yeah. I did develop more slowly. I got my period when I was 15.
You were almost
which-
16.
Yeah, I was almost 16, which, you know, in modern day, that's considered to be super late. You know, when we have girls these days who are getting their periods between 9 and 11 years old. I mean, it's like these girls are still in elementary school playing with Barbie dolls, and they're like, what is going on? Why am I developing breasts at such a young age? And I didn't even really develop breasts until I was like 18 years old.
And so the science behind that, from my end of it, is that the slower the organism develops, the longer that it lives. And so the vegan children, oh my God, put the parents in the hospital because this child is underdeveloped. Well, your child is 9 years old with fully developed breast in her period. I think you might be the one doing something wrong with all the hormones and pesticides and accelerating the growth of with all the hormones and stuff.
Yes.
So, you know.
And the vegan
And we
children.
have to question the scale at which we're measuring development and growth. Like if this is a scale based on the general population, well, the general population is overweight, sick. How can that be a basis as to what's really healthy?
Gabriella and Marco both grew at slower rates than their friends who were eating dairy and, of course, having growth hormones in their food. So there were times that my husband was very concerned because they were growing at a slower rate, but we had a wonderful pediatrician, and we went for a wellness visit once a year, and every time he said, your children are at the lower end of the charts, but they're growing, and they're growing normally. So he really understood, and they grew beautifully, and later on they had their growth spurts. When they were adolescents and teenagers, that's when they really started having their growth spurts. And all those years they were still growing, but they weren't growing on growth hormones.
And we're certainly not like undersized or underweight or anything. Like, I mean, my period came and it was just like the easiest thing for me. It happened naturally. I've never had any pain.
So yeah, with the vegan and the raw, the period is like super light, easy, a little bit, no major PMS cramping. Yeah.
I have to say that when Gabriella was a teenager, she did have PMS. She had, you know, some severe cramping, and sometimes she'd be in bed for a couple of days when she was eating foods that weren't healthy.
Yeah.
And then when she went back to raw foods, I never noticed that happened with her again. And the same thing with me. When I went raw, first of all, my son was 3 years old and I was still nursing him. I had all of a sudden an amazing amount of breast milk. Like I could have nursed many more children with that breast milk that I had when he was only 3, and he wasn't nursing as much anymore. And the raw foods gave me, because of the high water content, the ease of digestion, just all increased my milk. And then in addition to that, at a certain point, I think that when I went into menopause, I had I had no symptoms. And so many of my friends who were having extreme symptoms from menopause, such as hot flashes all the time, I mean, I never experienced anything except for like the energy that this lifestyle gives you. And I also early on had my period like every 2 to 3 years. And all of a sudden, I started eating raw foods and I get a very light period every 28 days, like clockwork. And it's just very light and comfortable. And I went from hating it, like that it was just awful to get your period, such a heavy flow and stomach cramps, to eating raw foods, and all of a sudden my period was light, easy, and I welcomed it. And I actually missed it when I lost it a few years ago.
These are all very common things for people to understand, and I don't know if it's just me that can make so much sense, or if anybody else that's watching this video is like, this resonates with the way that the high water, high mineral, easily digestible food goes through without leaving all that metabolic waste, which builds up. Then the organism, the feminine, the female organism, has to release that so that it can create and make sure that it's a place that is worthy of, you know, childbirth. So that's where all the toxins are. Like, let's get rid of this, and it's such a painful burden. But if the toxins aren't there because you're not getting them in the food and in the environment, then the organism doesn't have to go through such a hassle to clean itself out.
There's some women who actually don't even get their period anymore, but they're still ovulating. They still get pregnant.
They're still fertile.
Yes, very fertile. And I've worked with many women who had endometriosis or some other kind of situation, and they were infertile, and they've tried all kinds of different measures to try to get pregnant, and they couldn't. They come to the raw living food lifestyle, and like what Dan was just describing, how it's so cleansing, you know, all of a sudden these people are getting pregnant, and it just makes a tremendous amount of sense.
And so I have said before, and I will say it again as I see it every day in my mind's eye, that living food equals life, and dead food is dead. And so I just promote I advocate the consumption of fresh, whole, unaltered, high water, nutrient dense, raw fruits, vegetables, soaked nuts and seeds to live an epic life and to be healthy and happy naturally. So anything else you want to add, Gabrielle?
I think we covered it all. Thank you for having me.
Easy and simple. Where do we find you?
Easy and simple. My website is superhealthychildren.com, and my YouTube channel is also superhealthychildren.com. And my comprehensive book, which has been called the most comprehensive book on raising truly healthy children through raw, plant-based nutrition, is Creating Healthy Children, and it's available on my website, Super Healthy Children.
So you're sitting here with Karen Ramsey, the world's foremost expert on raising raw food kids. Well, it's the truth, and it is the most comprehensive book that I've ever read. So get your hands a copy of that. Say it one more time.
The name of the book?
Yeah.
The book is Creating Healthy Children Through Attachment Parenting and Raw Foods. And it's available on superhealthychildren.com.
Excellent. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Peace.